Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing great and I hope you are enjoying your new year so far. This is my first crafty video of 2023. I will link the video here if you missed it of the Let's Resin unboxing, and it is the box. I was so excited when I got this mold, but I knew it didn't fit in with my Christmas themes at all. So I decided at that moment this would be my very first 2023 video and I was just buzzing. I could not wait at all. Now, if you saw my New Year's Eve video, you will know that I accidentally went down the path of like a steampunk stroke industrial stroke grunge result. And that is what we're going for today because I was in love. Now, on first sight, this box, I wasn't quite sure which one was the lid, which one was the base. I kind of assumed that the shallower one was the lid. So I did write lid on there for my own reference. And by the end of it, if I was right, I was right. If I was wrong, then I would just scrub that out. But yeah, my plan is to go down the similar route to the New Year's Eve video. If you missed that, I'll link that here. But it's using foils to create like a, I guess, I don't want to call this steampunk because it really isn't steampunk. I haven't got into my steampunk zone yet, but we are going for rusticy, metallic feels. That's what we're going for. The plan is to cover the entire box, the entire mold, to cover it in silver, potentially and possibly leaving some cracks, some gaps, where the resin will be seen through. So the backing colour of choice, of course, is all up to you. You could go with pink, blue. I will be going with black because that is the look I'm going for. And it's the look that I really loved in the New Year's Eve videos. So it's the same principle. I am laying down my silver leaf, my silver foil. This is the crafting foil, the crafting leaf. I know everyone has a different name for it, but of course this is all linked below in my Amazon if you want to get hold of some. And it is so gorgeous to work with. Now, this silicone from Let's Resin is very different to the other silicone that I used on New Year's Eve's video, so the foil does respond differently to it. It doesn't react differently, it does exactly the same thing, but the result is different. The finish is slightly different on this kind of white silicone than it is on the silicone by Molds and Shapes. Anyway, I'm rambling. You just want to get yourself a big fat fluffy brush and you just want to rub it all over. Now, I did want to get right into all of the nooks and crannies, but equally I did want to leave some cracks. So I wasn't really, I wasn't paying too much mind to how much I was actually using. I just knew I wanted a good, decent, solid coverage. And look at this. The more you rub it with your fat, fluffy brush, the more mirror-like it becomes. It is so, so beautiful. I basically did this over both parts of the mold. Again, not really knowing at this point which one was the lid and which one was the base. So if you like, this is kind of like my tester. This video is like the guinea pig of me learning what this mold is all about, how it works, so that when I move forward and I use this mold again, I know exactly what I'm doing. And that was all I did to these molds. I literally went around making sure that I got all of the crevices, happy if there were some cracks like there is here. And the next step was the resin. Now, I am using Vista Cascade in this box. Now, this resin is kind of not designed for deep pours. However, I do think it's gonna be fine because Vista Cascade is really designed for like a centimetre and a half, like key rings, coasters, that kind of depth. But these molds, whilst they're deep, the walls are thin. So I think I'm going to get away with it. And I did. So, spoiler alert, it worked perfectly fine. Now I am using the Vista black pigment as I've used in many videos before. I am also a Vista Ambassador. So if you have not yet tried Vista Resin and you want to set up an account, all of the details will be in the description box for you. And you can quadruple your points using my code. That is for new account holders. So yeah, there is that. So check it out in the description box. Now, here's the thing with these box molds. Again, I've never used them before. I wasn't sure how they were going to work with regards to filling them up. I was a bit nervous to keep them in their wooden frames in case I couldn't get all of the resin deep down into all of those nooks and crannies and all of those 90-degree angles, which is where the bubbles love to hide. So I decided to put a little bit of resin in each one outside of the wooden frame, so that I could swish it around, get it to go around all 4 edges, and give the bottom a bit of a squeeze. Just squeeze the bottom of it, and then that's, to me, in my mind, I'm thinking that's going to dislodge any little pesky bubbles, because as you can see the mold here, it's going to be quite hard to get a tool down into all of those corners when it's in the frame. That was where my thought processes were going, and honestly it worked perfectly fine. They're quite solid molds, so I wasn't worried about spilling the resin or any of it pouring out. I felt in total control at this point, and just, yeah, give the bottom a bit of a squeeze and the resin should do the rest for you. Honestly, I didn't have any problems with air bubbles. So again, it might be an unnecessary step, but you could, I like to kind of err on the side of caution sometimes. Other times I just don't, and then I get giant air holes. I am filling these up slowly from one corner, mainly because, again, I've never used the mold, so this is all very much a lesson on how the mold is, how the resin kind of interacts with the mold. Where does the resin go? I know that sounds really silly, but I didn't want to pour too fast, because these edges, to me, these walls look quite thin, and I was worried that if I poured too fast, if I just poured straight over the surface, then we would create huge air canyons, huge air bubbles, and it really would have just been a disaster for the box. So I did decide, pour slowly, pour into one corner, let the resin do the work, and then I know that that resin is going to have filled every single space, every bit of space within the mold. Now, I did the same on this side as well. Here's the thing, like I said a couple of times, I don't yet know which one's the top and which one's the bottom. I kind of have an idea, but I don't know for sure. So I didn't want to fill both of them right to the very top, because otherwise the tops would be black. I'd have like a silver foil box, but then the top and the bottom are just gonna be completely black. So how do I get the top to be silver without doing a second coat of resin, adding more foil? Like, yeah, my brain was kind of working overtime. Like, if that is the top, how's that going to be silver? That's going to be black. So here's the thing. I left out the last little bit of resin, and I decided with the resin that I've still got left in my pot, I'm actually going to add in some of this powder. Now, this is the floating pigment powder from Just For You Online. I purchased this myself. This powder is another level stunning. I've used this in my videos before, but it's been a while. It's been a while since I've touched this stuff, and oh my gosh, it's perfect, because I'm now thinking I can add this silver floating pigment to the black, and then I can fill the boxes up using this, because what's going to happen is that silver pigment is going to float to the surface, and it's going to give me a silver top and a silver bottom. Whichever way round these molds are, it's going to be silver. So I was happy at this point that I'd kind of worked out what to do and how to get around the fact that I didn't want a black surface. I wasn't bothered about the black bottom, but at this point I didn't know which was which. So yeah, anyway, that is what I did. I feel like I'm repeating myself on the whole top and bottom saga, but I can confirm that it is the shallow part of the mold that is indeed the top. And of course this all came to light after demold, but you can see the way this powder is interacting with the resin. It is absolutely stunning. Now, honestly, if I'm being honest with you, I kind of wish I left it here. I decided to use a wooden lollipop stick just to swirl that around, just to make sure that the silver kind of covered as much of the surface as I could possibly get it to cover. And then I went and sprinkled powder on the top. So yeah, hindsight is a wonderful thing. I thought, let me sprinkle some powder on the top. That will give it a really cool effect. But what ended up happening was that that powder then spread and pretty much took over. And hey, at least we have silver top and silver bottom. When it came to demold, this was the very next day. Super easy, just slide away, slide them out of the wooden frames. Now, I'm not going to lie, I cannot pretend, but I cannot take my wooden frames apart. The little one's good, but the big one, no. No, it took a lot of force to get it together, and now I can't get it apart. So I'm going to have to store them very, very securely. First glance on demold, I am happy. This is what I was going for when I talked to you guys on the New Year's Eve video about the pewter, the metallic, the metal pewter effect. And I feel like I kind of got it in this one. I really love it. And it was at this point I realised this one has like a slidey top. So the deeper mould is the base and there's a groove cut out. So I kind of realised at this point, okay, that's the bottom. The lid must slide in there because there's grooves for it, and lo and behold, here is the top. It has a lip which fits perfectly to the base. There's nothing worse than getting a mold that comes in two parts, and when you put them together they just don't fit. Now here's the thing, it is a tight fit. It is such a tight fit. Now I will say one thing, it's not so easy to slide it on. I know it's there for you to slide on, but for me it was much easier to push on, pull off. Literally pushing on and pulling off was so much easier. Like it was just, yeah, it's just a piece of cake. Whereas sliding it in through those grooves, not so easy, if I'm honest. However, it is a chunky chunk of a box. It is a super productive box as well. Like I feel like you could get a lot in here. There was a little bit of overspill, so I just went around the edges with my nail file, and if I'm honest, I knew I wasn't in love with the silver surface. I know it's what I was going for, but I didn't love it. So what I decided to do, because I got a lot of this silver powder on my hands, and of course I'm thinking that's all coming off of the silicone mould, is there any coming off of this? And there wasn't much, if I'm honest, there wasn't much. And I think whatever I got on the tissue right now was possibly even from my hands, because this powder gets everywhere. And it was at this point, we all know what we've got to do. If we've got a surface that we are not happy with, slap a tattoo on it. Because I am telling you, if you've been with me a while, you'll know this. If you are new to my channel, slapping a tattoo on some resin that you're not 100% okay with it's the best feeling in the world. It will elevate your work. It will bring your pieces back up to something that you're in love with. Because honestly, I couldn't look at that box with the way the lid was just pure silver, and I was not happy. So I've only got a few giant tattoos left, and I figured it had to be this one with the tiger and the flowers. Like, part of me wishes it was a lion because I am a Leo, but it was a tiger, and we make do with what we've got. Now, here is the reveal. I cannot tell you, like, I hope you kind of get where I'm coming from with this. To take it from a really odd looking top that was just like kind of plain silver, now we've got this absolutely beautiful tattoo on there with flowers, sunflowers, a tiger. It has really brought it up to what I can only class as a pretty cool box. I'm in love with it. I absolutely love it. Again, there's me trying to slide it on, but it's not having any of it. Like, the slide on is not happening, but it's okay. I know exactly what I'm going to do with this box. But here's the thing. If you are new to my channel, you'll know if you've been here a while, but if you are new to my channel, these tattoos remain sticky. Now, I've done tattoos in resin for a few years now. You can put the tattoo directly into the mold, straight on the silicone. These are tattoos for your skin. They act in exactly the same way. You just use a really, really wet cloth and saturate it as you would if you were putting it on your arm or your leg. So yeah, they are tattoos for skin, but they work perfectly with resin and a jasmonite if sealed. We have to top coat this. Right now, the surface is sticky. I can feel the tackiness and the stickiness of that tattoo, so they 100% need to be sealed. Even if you put the tattoo in your silicone mold first and then pour resin, after you demold, it's still sticky where the tattoo is. So bear that in mind if you are thinking about putting temporary tattoos in resin. No matter what way you do it, they absolutely 100% will need a top coat of resin 100% of the time. And you just have to prepare yourself for that, because you know me, I like quick projects, and this was definitely not a quick project, but I love it nonetheless. Now here is me just doing a top coat. Again, you can use, I'll be honest, I have used Vista Turbo for top coating. Vista Turbo is not necessarily designed for top coating, but it works. It works for me. And Vista also do another resin called Vista Rapids that is designed for top coating, but I had Turbo on hand, so I used that. It was just easy to use at the time. And this is where you can use a bit of a blowtorch on there to pop the bubbles. And honestly, mistake number 2, I'm just glad this is for me and this is going on my bedside table. After I peeled back the masking tape, I realised that my resin had pulled away from the edges. I hadn't even got spillage, but it had pulled away from the edges. Now, I quickly showed you there the cork base, but I'm not showing you how I did that in this video. I simply cut a triangle, really? I simply cut a rectangle out and I stuck it on, and I love it. Now, here are the pulls. I'm hoping the camera's picking them up. Here they are. You can see here that my resin pulled away from the edges, creating these dimples stroke fish eyes. The reason for this, there's 2 reasons for this. My top reason here is that I just didn't put enough resin on there, which is kind of gutting because I had loads, I had enough. I did not put enough resin on there. And the other reason you can get fish eyes as well is if you torch too hard, if you burn it, if you heat too much, you can get dimples and fish eyes. But honestly, I didn't get any overspill and it pulled away from the edges. But as it's going on my bedside table, it's all good. I have got my unbelievable handmade scrunchies made by Wheezy, and I'm hoping you're here in the chat, Wheezy. I still use them. I'm obsessed. George also is obsessed with them, so they are the one hair tie that I have to keep out of his way. But yes, this is going to be my box, because let me tell you, hair ties and puppies, they don't go together. But what I'm showing you here is that these scrunchies that Wheezy made me, they are chunky, like super chunky. And the fact that I can put these in, I actually can fit 3 in and the lid closes. That's how tight this is. It's a really tight, close fit. And I love that about a box. You know, sometimes you've seen other molds I've used, like the coffin molds, all these other molds, the trinket tray molds, like the Halloween ones I did. They're loose. The lids are loose. Like, they're just really just decorative and to store things in. But this is really, really gonna be great to have things in there, i.e. my hair ties to keep them away from George, and know that that lid is not coming off if he should knock it off the table or anything like that. So I'm really, really happy with it. I absolutely love it. This is my very first crafty video of 2023, like I mentioned, but guys, on Monday is when my Chinese New Year videos start. And let me tell you in advance, I cannot cope with how obsessed I am. I've already filmed like 5 videos and I love every single one of them. I don't know why I've never done Chinese New Year before, but I hope you join me on Monday for those Chinese New Year videos. And yeah, I hope you've really enjoyed this one as well. What did I say? I was going to actually say at the beginning of the video, subscribe, thumbs up. Did I do it? No, I didn't. Who keeps their New Year's resolutions anyway? I'll see you all Monday. Bye.